Hi guys, it's Jess. I'm sorry I've been away for a while. It's been sort of a crazy busy couple of weeks, but I am back today to do the fourth part of my bookshelf tour. This time I'm going to focus on nonfiction books, and the first section of my nonfiction shelf are theater-related books. I've mentioned this in some of my earlier videos, but not for a while. I am a local actor in my area. I was a theater major in college and always thought that I would go pro, but in the end, I don't know that I was best suited for that kind of lifestyle. I like getting a paycheck regularly, and I'm just not sure if I was ever good enough to go professional, but I love doing it. It is absolutely my first passion, and so I am incredibly involved in my theater scene where I live. So I still have a huge number of theater books and theater scripts and all of that kind of stuff. I'm probably not going to take each book out in this section just because I don't know how interesting that would be for most of you. Certainly if some of you would like to see the covers of these books, please let me know in comments, and I'd be happy to do a separate video just for those books. But let me briefly talk about what I've got here. So the first book here is Rodgers and Hammerstein by Ethan Mordden. It's just basically a book about their partnership and the shows that they wrote together. Then I have Staging Musical Theater and Full House. These are books about basically the production of a show, how to put one on, what the steps are for a director, choreographer, etc. Then I have a bunch of books about specific musicals. So I've got Beauty and the Beast, Les Miserables, Miss Saigon, The Complete Phantom of the Opera, Rent, Titanic, Wicked, Bicker Marie, and, well, this is not a Broadway, A Day in the Life of Hollywood, which I'm pretty sure is there because it's a big book, but it's basically about the golden age of Hollywood. It's a collection of photographs. And then the last one is Theater Posters, which is basically a book about how theater posters have evolved over time. Then I've got some scripts for different musicals. Oddly enough, these are not musicals that I've personally been in. Those scripts are tattered and torn because of overuse, so they're not very pretty to put on display. But I've got 1776 by Peter Stone and Sherman Edwards, then Blood Brothers by Willie Russell, Company by Stephen Sondheim and George Firth, Fiddler on the Roof by Joseph Stein, Urinetown the Musical by Greg Cotis and Mark Holman, and then this one is The Best Christmas Pageant Ever script, which actually was a show that I was cast in, and then I had to drop out because of work reasons, but I kept the script. Then on my next shelf, I've got Beautiful Morning by Ethan Mordden, which is a book about musicals in the 1940s. The next one is Coming Up Roses by the same author, which is about musicals in the 1950s. Then I've got Show by Show, the 4th edition, which is basically a brief synopsis of every show that was written from the early 1900s or late 1800s until I think this one was published in 1998, so all musicals up until that time. Then Let's Put On a Musical, which is a lot like Full House and Staging Musical Theater that I showed you earlier. Then I have a bunch of books about how to make it on Broadway, how to make it in New York. These were bought when I was still thinking I was going to become a professional. So how to be a working actor, making it on Broadway, how to audition for the musical theater, the backstage guide to casting directors, and an actor prepares to live in New York City. Then I've got a bunch of books about teaching theater. When I was in college, I actually worked at a local theater, and I taught classes for, first for kindergartners, and then I moved on to 6th through 8th graders. So I have a bunch of books about just different games you can play with kids, and, you know, small plays and all of that kind of stuff. So I've got On Stage, I've got The Creative Arts, A Process Approach for Teachers and Children, the theater games for young performers, The Playing is the Thing, Learning the Art of Acting through Games and Exercises, Secondary Stages, Theater for Youth, 12 Plays with Mature Themes, Creative Drama in the Classroom and Beyond, and Theater for Young Audiences. Then the next books that I have are books that I had to have for different classes that I was taking in college. So I've got Stages of Drama, Classical to Contemporary Theater, Directing for the Stage, Script Analysis for Actors, Directors, and Designers, a Practical Handbook for the Actor, and Women in American Theater. Then Plays from South Coast Repertory, Volume 2. And then I've got a bunch of auditioning books, either about auditioning itself or monologue books, bunches of those. And then here I've got some scripts of plays. I'll show you those. So I've got Proof by David Auburn, Suburbia by Eric Bogosian, The Lion in Winter by James Goldman, and A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. The Blue Room by David Hare, a collection of plays by Henrik Ibsen, Art by Yasmina Reza, and Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare, Hamlet, Macbeth, As You Like It, lots of Shakespeare. Much Ado About Nothing, the Norton Anthology, Doubt by John Patrick Stanley, Same Time Next Year by Bernard Slade, and Twilight, Los Angeles 1992 by Anna Devere Smith. Then Antigone by Sophocles, Our Town by Thornton Wilder, The Glass Menagerie by Tennessee Williams, and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof by Tennessee Williams. Then I've got some biographies, Vivian Leigh by Anne Edwards, Everything Rosie by Patrick Spring, and then I've got some humor books, Dave Barry's Greatest Hits by Dave Barry, My Point and I Do Have One by Ellen DeGeneres, No Shirt, No Shoes, No Problem by Jeff Foxworthy, Couplehood by Paul Reiser, and Babyhood by Paul Reiser. Ooh, sticker. Then I've got some books on specific films. This is The Making of Evita by Alan Parker. Then Titanic, James Cameron's illustrated screenplay. Moulin Rouge, and Sense and Sensibility, Screenplay and Diaries by Emma Thompson. Then we have sort of miscellaneous film and TV. This is 100 Greatest Stars of All Time, 1000 Best Movies on DVD by Peter Travers. The Greatest Movies of All Time, which is a book way back in the day, 1992 from Blockbuster. And then Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Philosophy, Fear and Trembling in Sunnydale. This is pretty much miscellaneous nonfiction. This is Who Are You? 101 Ways of Seeing Yourself by Malcolm Godwin. Then we've got the Everything Money book. You Can Do It, Dare to Dream, The Merit Badge Handbook for Grown-Up Girls by Lauren Catuzzi Grancolas, and Heaven and Earth, A Journal of Dreams and Awakenings. This is Girlfriends, a record book about us. This is a photo book that one of my best friends made for me. She was my roommate in college. This was a birthday gift, I think. All You Need to Survive, 3 Black Skirts by Anna Johnson. City Chic, An Urban Girl's Guide to Living Large on Less by Nina Wildorf. And then A Post-Secret Book, A Lifetime of Secrets by Frank Warren. And Sark's Journal and Playbook. The Bodacious Book of Succulents by Sark. The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity by Julia Cameron. Spilling Open by Sabrina Ward Harrison. I Promise Myself by Patricia Lynn Riley. And Obsessive Consumption, What Did You Buy Today by Kate Bingaman-Burt. Then we've got It's a Chick Thing. This is Celebrating the Wild Side of Women. Don't look at the sticker. I know, it's terrible. Living Alone and Liking It by Lynn Shahan. Change Your Home, Change Your Life by Amal Anderson. And Quarter Life Crisis, The Unique Challenges of Life in Your 20s by Alexander Robbins and Abby Wilner. Then Oh Solo Mia, The Hip Chick's Guide to Fun for One by Wendy Burt and Aaron Kinberg. He's Just Not That Into You by Greg Berent and Liz Tusilo. The Go Girl Guide, Surviving Your 20s with Savvy Soul and Style by Julia Borland. And Cash in the City, Affording Manolos, Martinis, and Manicures on a Working Girl's Salary by Juliette Fairley. Then we have some autobiographies. This is A Little Bit Wicked by Kristen Chenoweth, A Girl from Yamhill by Beverly Cleary, Paula Deen, It Ain't All About the Cookin', The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, and Blood Memory by Martha Graham. Then we have Official Book Club Selection by Kathy Griffin, My Horizontal Life by Chelsea Handler, Me by Katharine Hepburn, Little Kids Big City by Alex McCord and Simon Van Kampen. Anybody else watch The Housewives? I'm so addicted. And then Storytelling by Tori Spelling. Then we have some books about the Titanic. I used to have a huge number of Titanic books because I was absolutely obsessed with the history of Titanic when I was about 16 or 17, which is actually before the movie came out. But over time, I've given some of them away, and these are the ones that I've kept. I've got The Titanic End of a Dream by Wynne Craig Wade, then Titanic Trivia, A Night to Remember by Walter Lord, and The Night Lives On by Walter Lord. Then I've got National Geographic, A Long Last Look at Titanic. This is actually from December of 1986. I've got Georgia from the Mountains to the Sea, World Atlas. That was in my oldest books video. And Michelin London Guide and Frommer's New York City Guide. This next grouping is going to be incredibly random. I've got the literature book, Structure, Sound, and Sense by Laurence Perrin, Webster's Dictionary, gotta have a dictionary, Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman, Tiffany's Table Manners for our teenagers, which is actually a funny story. When my cousin Emily and I were about 12, I guess she was 11, I was 12, we got these books in the Tiffany blue boxes for Christmas, and we were so excited because we were sure that there was going to be jewelry inside, and instead these books were there. And so to sort of get back at our parents in a funny way, we studied up all up until Christmas dinner, and then proceeded all throughout dinner to correct the adults on their table manners. I think that they regretted getting these books for us. And then we've got How Not to Turn Into Your Mother by Linda Sunshine, which is so too late. I'm already way too much like her. And then Food Rules by Michael Pollan. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to run out of time to do the rest of my bookshelves, but we did get through a lot. We got through these 3 shelves right here, and the first 2 shelves pretty much there. So I'm going to do one next part, and then we'll finally be done. But we're making progress. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!